Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the KB Article. I'm Chad Brown, and as always, joined by my co-host Kyle Kinsler. How are you, Kyle?
I'm wonderful. Feeling great today.
Good. Hey, we're not going to spend a lot of time fluffing around. We're going to jump right in. We got a guest with us, Chris Kille. Chris is a serial entrepreneur, been involved in payment processing, debt collection, outsourced virtual assistant services, and not just VAs. He runs the gamut from experts overseas. So it's a lot of good stuff. And as you know, at the KB Article, our goal is to enhance and optimize the financial growth and well-being of our listeners and those that we serve. And I think today is not going to lack in that. So Chris, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you jumping on. Chris, tell us a little bit about yourself, man. You're a serial entrepreneur. I've known you for a while through some different organizations we're involved in. Full disclosure, we work with Chris and his agency in terms of utilizing virtual assistants.
You guys are my favorite clients.
Yeah, right. Until tomorrow, you run another podcast, right? No, it's all good. But how'd you get started in entrepreneurship, man?
I mean, full disclosure, if we're amongst friends here, I couldn't keep a job. Turns out I'm not a very good employee.
Entrepreneurs don't make real good employees. That's right.
It turns out I don't like being told what to do. Right. So that doesn't really work well in a traditional office environment. I found pretty quickly.
So that makes sense. We see a lot of that in the entrepreneurial world. I must say I never got fired from a job. So I was a decent employee. I just was never happy doing it. So anyway, I could keep it, but maybe I just mastered it a little bit better than you did.
Did you ever get fired, Chris?
Oh yeah. I've been fired.
I got fired twice.
Okay. Yeah. Man, if we had more time, we could get into some stories, but we'll keep it close. And I'm not sure what the age group of your audience is too. So
hey man, it doesn't matter. We just talk real on here, and if they want to listen, they listen. If they don't, they can hit the mute button. Right?
That's right. I like it.
Well, anyway, payment processing is kind of your first endeavor in the entrepreneurial space. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that and your experiences with that industry. It's tough.
It is. It's in my opinion, it might be one of the most competitive industries on the planet. And being unregulated, there's a lot of clowns and cowboys out there. So it can be a tough business. I started that business back in 2005. I had actually been working for a large publicly traded company doing door-to-door sales for a new credit card processing line that they had just rolled out. It was one of my first jobs out of college. And turns out, again, I had some issues with authority at the time, and I did really well. Don't get me wrong. I was their number one or number two rep, in the country month after month. But eventually, they told me that we needed to part directions, and I was actually able to go find another company, a privately held company, and I started off as an independent agent for them, and from there, that's how I grew my book.
Okay,
fantastic. Now you're in the virtual assistant arena, and I know there's been a lot of. I see it all the time. It seems like I get emails every day that want me to hire a virtual assistant or whatever it may be, but. Now you kind of really probed and got into this industry, and you see that need. To our audience that might not be familiar with what a VA does, elaborate on that a little bit for us.
So the easiest way to describe it is it's going to give you space. Okay, so virtual assistants, executive assistants, whatever you want to call them, remote employees, they're there to help you be a better version of you. So the story that I always tell is, if you're an entrepreneur or a manager, own your own business, you were working for somebody else in a management capacity, this day is going to sound really familiar. You wake up in the morning and you're all jazzed up. You got plenty of energy. You got a great breakfast. Maybe you had a good run in the morning or whatever your workout is. No traffic on the way into the office, green light after green light. Today's going to be a great day. You get into the office, you open up your email, and it's like, nope, just kidding. Right now, you got fires from clients. You got people that are, you got upset clients, angry emails. Next thing you know, you sit down at your computer and you look up, it's 3 p.m. and you've got nothing accomplished. Okay. So what I found is having somebody on your team as a right hand can help you free up and get space to do what you do. We also, it's not just about having the employee though there, it's also teaching and implementing practices on how to become more efficient, how to delegate, how to learn what of your time is actually worth you doing and what you should teach somebody else to do. And once you really unpack that power of leverage, I mean, it really is, it's, the sky's the limit at that point.
Yeah, no, oh, I'm sorry, Kyle.
No, you go ahead. I'm sorry, I was muted.
Sorry. Chris, no, that's awesome. It's been kind of my experience as well. I mean, like I disclosed earlier, we utilize your services to find someone to do a lot of graphic design and edit our podcast, put out reels, put out content, which was great. I tell you what, the time I spent doing it and then the time I sat around pondering what I was going to do and how I was going to do it, more than paid for the investment we made with the gentleman you connected us with. So that's great. Also, I've been, I'm a CPA, accountant, traditional by nature, right? We like to control things, everything. And that, especially early in my career, I like to control everything. And Kyle can attest to this. And, you can only do so much.
Right.
Only do so much. And when, we've got our accounting, bookkeeping, and kind of tax planning and advisory side of our business, and could only get to the width of the box or the height of the box. Once that box was full because it was me, somebody else on my team, until we started outsourcing some of the work, I wouldn't say kind of mid-level and below work to offshore. It was affordable, no drama, professional, accurate, good. We were able to grow fairly significantly, and it took us to get out of our own way. Is that common story you hear? And how do you kind of pull people like me along and say, no, this is the path?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really common, it's the feedback that we get when utilized properly. To kind of go back to the differences between this and payment processing, in the payment processing world, accepting credit cards is it's a necessary evil, right? It's kind of what it looks like. So we don't take a lot of calls from people that are excited to be working with us, right? It's just the nature of the beast. It's an expense that most people don't want to pay, ourselves included. I mean, we accept credit cards as well. And, but on the other side of the coin with staffing, you actually get to see them grow and you grow with them. And so, especially when they keep coming back over and over again, they're applying the principles that we teach them. I'll start with one person, right, in a client, and sometimes within a couple of months we'll have 5 or 6, 7, sometimes even 10 people working for them as well, because they understand the power of leverage. They understand how to identify what it is that needs to be done, and then they're taking the systems and processes that we teach them and just replicating it over and over again. And it's really we're all smart, right? But when you have the time to get out of your own way and focus on what you're really good at, that's when people start getting really dangerous.
Yeah, that's spot on. And I didn't really realize this is the Chris that's part of our organization that we've been going through and hearing so much about coming through here, because we really struggled, even on the podcast side that we had here, and we were trying to do it internally and this and that. And then we turned it over to you, Chris, and it's been wonderful for us. Yeah. And it's just, and the content that they're coming out with is fantastic. But I think one caveat to add to that, I think as a business owner or somebody that's in HR, one of the biggest, hardest things to do. And I was up in North Dakota during the oil boom, and it's just so hard to find employees. It just seems like that's always been everywhere through our whole growth of of Kinsler Brown and such, is finding the right employees to fill those seats. And when we can just say, hey, make that call to Chris and see who can you get to try to fill in this, that just takes care of that whole side of things over there. It's like having that lockdown corner. So we call them the Deion Sanders of your business. You just take care of that side of that wing of the business here for us. So no, that's exemplary. And I can go on, and we look forward to coming to you with more of our issues that we have as we're growing our business, and say, hey, can you take care of this side of things now too? So it is very, very beneficial.
Yeah, they're fun to solve. Like these are problems that everybody has. You can talk to any business owner ever in the history of the world, or not even business owner, just anybody it all comes down to people, right? You guys have, you have all kinds of people on your podcasts, and I'm sure you do discovery calls, within your business. And anytime we're at one of these groups in a breakout session, it always comes down to people, always. Like it's like, hey, I'm having a hard time hiring this, or my team member's doing this, or at the end of the day, we know how to do sales. We know how to do marketing. A lot of that stuff is intuitive. We know how to do back office stuff, but we know that we can't do it alone. And finding the people that are actually on board with us, rowing in the same direction, is incredibly difficult. I mean, if you look at your super successful people out there, they all have, one of the things they all have in common is they know how to build teams. They know how to communicate with people, right? And they know how to build a culture of winning. And that is where most people, myself included, we fall short there in a lot of areas. But obviously constantly growing towards it. But, life is about people. The world is about people. Business is about people, and getting the right people in your corner on your team is the way to win, for sure.
Right.
Yeah,
and we hear about that, and we read about it, and we beat it into our brains for years and years and years. It's about people. And it's not until you finally start hiring the right people and getting them into the right seats. Because I tell you, for a long time, we had the wrong people in the wrong seats, and we were having to come behind and doing the work anyways, as where Chris can kind of profile people that we have this particular need over here. What's Chris got to say about that, or you can fill that? And you've done an exemplary job doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for those awesome words. I'll take that back to the team. They'll be super happy.
Hey, one thing that I've noticed, in terms of, like Ty was alluding to, we went through a season of business where our culture wasn't great. We weren't attracting the right people. So, but culture can't change overnight, right? You have to change that internally, and then it develops, and then eventually it starts spreading out, and you start attracting more of the people that you want, maybe locally or nationally or whatever. But in the meantime, you can't take your foot off the gas. You still have to grow. And what I found, and it might be hard to find that right person, but what I found with working with our VA that Chris aligned us with, and talking to other business owners that utilize them to a much greater extent than we do, is that these folks have a passion and almost a loyalty to have an opportunity to earn a job, perform well, and be taken care of. I think that's a huge difference from a lot of the folks that we have here in this country, where our lives are pretty darn comfortable. Mm-hmm. Even if we don't have much, we're pretty much got more than most people in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where finding that talent locally, there's no loyalty. It's almost an expectation, I think, because we are more of an entitled society, I believe. Is that kind of what you see?
That was the word I was going to use. Like, that's the exact word I was going to use. Entitlement. There's a lot less of it over in the Philippines, and that's where we source all of our employees and our for the people that are on our team, and then for our clients as well. That's the word in itself is entitlement. Sure, there is some over there, but for the most part, the people that we find, there's just a lot less of it. They want to work hard, right? They want to be proud. That's the thing that I find here in the States right now in the positions, because we still have employees here too. It's not all over there, but we find that people, they just show up and they want a paycheck and they don't care if they win or not. That's that's where especially on the payment processing side, we were dying like year after year, or I was the one basically solely keeping this thing going, and blood, sweat, and tears every single day, a lot of tears. And, it was just like, this can't be that hard. And then that was whenever I found out about, Filipino culture and things like that. And then I was able to put people in place to support me so then I could go grow the business. And then finally, we were able to find some decent salespeople here and some other, people that we struggled with. But the overwhelming majority of the people that we work with over there, they show up every day with a great attitude, looking to win, right? And they just want to do a good day's work and be proud of it and go home and, have something that they can have, something that means something to them.
Yeah, well, it's one thing. Yeah, and you hit it right on the head there. Is like, being in the tax business and having people, they come into the work every day, and I always get that, when it's 10 minutes to 10 and we're opening and the employees, they haven't shown up yet.
Right.
And you realize the people that you have, like within your organization, how many times do they ever call in sick? I've never ever have to. It does. I mean, it happens or whatever, but it's not at the level I think that we're used to here, having or driving our own employees coming into the offices. So, no, that's exemplary as well.
I would say this though, we've done a good job over the last 3 or 4 years in revamping our culture. So if you're struggling with keeping or retaining or attracting good people, look yourself in the mirror, look at your team, look at your culture, and see what do I need to stop doing now and put corrective measures in place and start building that culture. It will take some time, but you're going to eventually attract those folks. We were there. I mean,
let me add something to that real quick. And I'm just going to do a personal story from me. I struggled for a very, very long time, and I didn't realize this until I got the right people in place, was I couldn't attract top tier talent because I was pissed all the time. I'm still kind of a hothead, right? I run, I run at a high temperature all the time.
You run pretty hot, yeah.
But what I found out is it was insufferable to be around me because I could drive sales. I could go out, I could generate business. But then on the back end, I really didn't like supporting customers. I didn't like supporting these tickets. I didn't like not being able to go out and sell. Right. And so from that, Chris was always in a bad mood all the time. And, I would hire people, but they'd last a week and a half, and they'd do something wrong, and I'd probably snap on them a little bit, and then they'd quit. It was only until I was able to get that stuff that I shouldn't have been doing anyway, that customer service, that writing applications, that making sure things are in compliance, all the detail stuff that my brain just doesn't like to do. Once I was able to get that off of my plate and get some space, all of a sudden now I'm in a much better mood all the time. I'm not doing stuff that I hate all day. And I'm actually able to focus on the things that I like. And because of that, more positive person was now able to attract positive people into their life. And, from there, it's, it compounds both directions, right? You can either keep going down into more and more misery, or you can take it the opposite way and thrive.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. Couple of things. If a small business wants to take that first step, to find talent that you might be able to offer, what is that first step? And then secondly, or maybe this first is, what kind of specialties do you hire for? Is it kind of the full gamut, very broad, or is it very narrow what your people, the skill set that they have?
So there's two. I'll start with your second question. And the people that we like to hire are your senior level executive assistants with operations and project management experience. Okay. We want to come in and we want to work on, now that being said, those are the ones that we do really well at. And those are the ones that we like to do, because when we can place those in around an individual and then again, give them the space that they need, now we can start uncovering other things that we can place. So whether that's a podcast editor or graphic designer, video editor, things like that, when we set the owner loose, and then other areas open up. As far as kind of the first steps, we recently started a Facebook group that's free It's facebook.com/buyback resources. We can put the link in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and it's a free training once a week, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. We do like a 15 or a 20-minute lesson that's based around the 7 core competencies of an executive assistant. And it doesn't have to be an executive assistant that watches it. It can be the business owner, because they're going to learn stuff too. And so there's a lot of free resources here. There's going to be a quick lesson, right? There's more than likely, most of the time, there's going to be a worksheet, so then they can actually take home and implement. And, it's not just a fluff. It's not a sales pitch. It's like, hey, I'm going to show you this skill. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you why you should be doing it. Right. And then you can take it and start doing it today or tomorrow. You can implement it right away. And then from there, a lot of times, because we want to educate first. So whether, you hire one from me or one from somebody else or none at all, having access to this information and seeing things from a different perspective when you're thinking of efficiency first, it'll change the game. So so that's it's facebook.com/buyback resources.
Now, is that some place that a person can go that may want to work or be a virtual assistant that would work for you?
Sure.
And
absolutely.
that's the words that we've been throwing around within our organization is the core competencies, or what are those things that make it to where, what are those 8, 10, 12 things that we really need to know in order to be good at the job, that we're at. So if they opt in, they go to this Facebook there, they learn about it, they start working on those core competencies, and then they can attract to you, you can attract to them, and they can virtually work from anywhere and be somebody's virtual assistant. Sure. How cool is that? It's a cool world that we live in right now. So,
yeah.
We have another. We do work on both sides of the coin. So I do a lot of outreach over in the Philippines as well. And one of the programs that we have, we developed a course that we sell. I think it's $7 or something like that. We make it super cheap. But we're also in the process of launching a group over there designed to help them build those core competencies, how to interview, how to request, how to negotiate salaries, how to, American culture, American slang, things like that, to where we want to not only empower, our clients on growth, but we also want to be able to help the Filipino people out. Or it doesn't even have to be Filipino. It can be anybody, because the information is universal. So if anybody is looking to get into that field, the benefits are great, right? You get to work from home. A lot of times you make the same amount of money as you would if you were in the office. More time with family. The benefits are endless to it.
Yeah.
And we like it because we then can help develop the next crop and the next generation of talent that's coming out. And we make it to where we know that they know what they're talking about whenever they come out of our program. So it's, we can now recommend somebody, can say, hey, yeah, we know that they're good with these 7 things. They went through our course, or they went through whatever. And we are confident to say that if you hire them into your business, it's going to be exactly what it is that you need.
Yeah. And cost savings too, I think, is very, we're looking at people that are coming in, and they may not have even the competencies, but they're expected to be hired $20, $25 an hour, and they still don't know anything. And then we still have to put them through 3-4 months of regimented core competency training just to get them to that level.
Yeah.
We've got thousands and thousands of dollars put into them versus if we went to Chris direct, with those, there's still some workup that needs to be done, but it's not so high.
Yeah, our recruitment process is custom and you guys went through this for the most part, probably not as involved as some of the other ones that we've done before in more of an executive role, but we actually come in and we do a deep dive on the business. We find out where those needs are. We find out where the holes are and what needs to be improved on. And then we actually take that profile and we go find somebody that's going to fit that, whether it's direct industry experience or something that's a related industry. And from there, we make sure that they already have most of exactly what it is that you're looking for. Obviously, like you said, there's going to be an onboarding process. There's going to be a learning curve because you got to learn how to work together, communicate, and things like that. But the whole point of it is to, instead of having to teach that person over the first 3 or 4 months how to do the job essentially, right? They should come in. They're already going to have 5, 6, 7, 10 years of experience doing this. So it should be really, really easy for them to pivot and integrate right into your system.
That's terrific
And,
stuff.
yeah, good stuff. Hey, Chris, I know we could go on and on, stories, wins, how this benefits us. I can speak, I think, for Kyle and I, that it's been a huge benefit for us, for the individual that we brought on board. I think we've had discussions recently about additional resources that what we might need on some projects we've got going on. And so just it's amazing opportunities for business owners. So we appreciate you coming in and sharing your story and how folks can benefit from it. But how can folks connect with you? You mentioned Facebook page. Will you mention that again? And then how else? What's the best way to connect?
Yeah, the Facebook group is facebook.com/buyback resources. The other thing is too, is you can connect with me on Instagram. I'm trying to build that out. Right now it's at not Chris Kille. And that's NOTCHRISKILLE. So, all the socials are fine, but Instagram is probably going to be the one that I'm going to be able to connect with on the easiest. I don't get spam there yet.
No, that's awesome. We'll get your links and we'll definitely share those when we launch the podcast episode. Chris, we appreciate you. Kyle, appreciate you. For those listening, I know there were some nuggets taken from this. I suggest you follow Chris. I've known Chris for a while. He's always putting out good content, educational resources, not just to build his business, but to provide value to all the entrepreneurs that once were in his shoes, kind of, grinding through it, making mistakes and learning how best to do it. So I appreciate you guys listening. Until next time.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate you.